This video I'm going to show you how I put together my Yukon 60-inch workbench. However, this was before Windsor Designs sold out to Yukon, so the packaging will most likely be different for you. Now the first thing I do here is lay out all the parts so it will be easier to put everything together. After I have all the parts laid out, I'm going to put the lower shelf together, so I will need the hardware to start that. These work by dropping the nut into the hole in the wood and then screwing the bolt into the nut. I use a Phillips head screwdriver to turn the nut so the bolt can screw into the hole. Then once I'm done figuring out how it works, I need to go through and unscrew the nuts from the bolts since they came screwed together. Now I'll take the back of the shelf and screw that into the first side of the workbench. I put the nuts in the back piece, then screw the bolts in through the side using an Allen wrench. And I do the same thing for the other side. Also, I do not tighten the bolts up all the way, so it's easier to slide the shelf piece down through the sides. The shelf piece should be held into place once it's inside the front and back piece slots. I can then tighten all the bolts up after I fit the shelf inside both slots. To make it easier to turn the Allen wrench, you can use a small crescent wrench. Getting all these bolts tightened up can take some time, but you'll want to make sure to do this so everything else fits together how it should. After I have the shelf put together, I'm going to put all the drawers together, so I'll go through and figure out what I need to do that. The drawers will slide into the slotted pieces attached to the sides and the middle piece, so I want to see how that works. So here I make sure I have the drawer side slot at the bottom, and then slide the metal piece into the glider piece attached to the middle piece. It should lock into place and then slide back and forth relatively smooth. Now if you want to remove a drawer, you will need to push up on this black plastic lever on the other side first. Okay, so now that I have a better understanding of how the drawers work, I'm going to put them all together, so I start that by organizing all the hardware. Then after that, the first thing I decide to do is screw the sides in the front of the drawer while making sure that all the slots line up. I make sure not to tighten the screws up too much so I don't strip out the head of the screws. Then once I have the sides screwed together, I can slide the bottom of the drawer down through the slots. I make sure that the holes in the bottom are closest to the open end so I can screw the back on. Then I hold the back into place while I screw the sides to it. Then I screw down into the back piece and go back through and tighten all the screws up. Then I put the front handle on and I'm done. And here's a side view of that same process on the next drawer. Yukon also makes a newer model of this workbench with one long drawer on the bottom, so there will only be 2 of these smaller drawers instead of 4. After I get all 4 of the drawers put together, I'm going to check out the bench top. Mine came with some pretty gnarly gashes in it, but it's a workbench, so I wasn't too bothered by that. So here I just put the holding pieces into place to see how easy it will be if I ever need to use them. Then after I'm done messing around with the top, I need to flip it over so I can install the middle piece that the drawers will slide into. And I accidentally screw this on backwards, so I have to take it off and flip it around so that the black pieces in the glider rails are closest to the front of the bench. There are 2 dowel pins that will need to go inside the top before it can be screwed down. And again, I don't tighten it all the way with the drill to prevent stripping the screw heads out. I'll go back through and hand tighten them with a screwdriver. Okay, now that I have the middle attached, I'm going to throw the base on top so I can screw them both together. Once I have the holes lined up, I'll screw this long middle piece into place, but I notice there's a staple sticking out of one end, so I need to remove that before I can proceed. Not too sure why that was in there, but it's starting to seem like there was a lack of quality control when this was packaged up. Now I'll just screw these into the first end, then the other end, and finally the middle. Now I finish up by hand tightening all the screws. Next step is to screw the legs to the table, so I'll need the Allen wrench to do that. It can take a decent amount of time with the provided tool, so I'm wishing I had an Allen bit that goes into my drill motor. Now that I have the legs screwed to the workbench top, I can flip it over so I can slide the drawers in. I start with the drawers on the right and both go in pretty easy. You just need to make sure you line the metal brackets on the side of the drawers up so they go into the gliders on the side and middle. But I run into a problem with the last drawer. After I pull it out, I can see that the glider rail is damaged, so I need to fix it before it will work right. I'm not sure if it was defective on arrival, which I wouldn't be surprised since the top was damaged and there were staples sticking out of parts. I suspect it was partially damaged and that I made it worse because the balls fell out when I unscrewed the part from the side. Seems to work fine now though, so I'll push this black lever up to remove it and then screw it back into the side. And this time the drawer goes in and seems to work as it should. So next I unscrew the bolt that will prevent the vise from coming all the way out if you unwind it too much. Then I install the vise by sliding it in and winding the handle clockwise until it's closed all the way. And now I can screw the bolt back, and after the vise is installed, you should be able to get to it by opening the top drawer. Hopefully this video has helped, and feel free to ask any questions that you still may have in the comments. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe for more quick and on-point videos.